let's dive into it. So we're going to start in our code editor. This time we're using a different code editor. We're using something called CodePen instead of Repel. We've found that this works a little bit better and a little bit nicer. And as always, there'll be a link in the video description to follow along. When you come on, you'll need to create an account, and then you can come to the bottom right corner over here. Might be quite small, but there will be a button called Fork. You can click that, and that will save to your own profile and enable you to like edit, save, and follow along with us here. So let's dive in. As always, we need our two starting functions, right? So we need function setup, which sets everything up, and we need function draw. Okay, now usually when we're doing setup, we create the canvas, which is where we are saving or drawing to. And we usually put numbers like 400, 400, and then we can give it a background, right? Let's say red. What I want to show you guys is something a little bit different this time, is how to use something called window.innerWidth and window.innerHeight. Because what if we wanted this red square to just expand to fill all of the space here? You can see we have all of the space. And sometimes it doesn't look as nice if it's just this small. We want to be able to take up more space. So the way we can do that is that there's a variable called window.innerWidth, which calculates the width of this window, this white space, and the height of it. And we can just pass that in to create canvas. So I can say window.innerWidth and window.innerHeight. And then you can see how it expands to the width and how it expands to the height. Cool. Let's go with black because that looks cool. So we got background black. Now I'm going to go ahead and as well, I'm going to go strive.draw tick axes, which should show us our grid lines. Okay, cool. So we now have that. The next thing I want to show you guys is a new command or a new way of drawing something, and it's called a movable circle. So follow along with me for the time being and I'll explain. So I'm going to make a global variable called P1, right? And that's called point, let's call it point1. So oftentimes programmers or YouTubers are like, let's just name this A, B, C, X, Y, Z for like this really complicated acronym. I have no idea what it is. So I'll try my best to be as descriptive as I can. But what we can say is, we can say point1 is equal to strive.create movable circle. And similar to regular circle, we give it 3 arguments. Its starting position, so let's say 100, 100, and its diameter, 20. Nothing is going to come up on the screen, as you can see, but what we can do is the following. Inside of draw, we say point1.draw, like that. Similar to like strive.draw tick axes, point1.draw. And now all of a sudden, we have this point, right? And when I hover over it, you can see how it goes white, and I can move it around the screen. So this is going to be the building block of how we can start creating some cool shapes that are like a little bit more dynamic and respond to user input. Now, here's the cool thing about this. We can get the X and Y coordinates from the points. So in this variable point1, right, I could do this just to show you guys. If I go console.log or print works, let's do console.log because it's a little bit more robust because print only works with P5. If I go console.log point1, save, and I open up my console, you can see I get this something called an object over here. It keeps printing, right? And it has a bunch of different properties. But what I want to point attention to is that we have these X and Y over here. It keeps printing, which is why every time I scroll up, it pushes it back down. But we have these variables, X and Y. So if we want access to them, we could just say point1.x or point1.y. Now, if I save, and the computer's running super fast because this has been going on in an infinite loop, let's hope. Oh, my computer's frozen. Okay, we're gonna refresh the page. See, we pushed it too hard, guys.
One eternity later.
Cool. So we are finally back. And what I'm able to now show you, right, when console.log point1.x and point1.y, you can see here in the console, you can get to it by pressing this button in the bottom left corner. is the x and y coordinates of this point. And we set it at 100, 100, so that makes sense. But now notice, as I move it, we're getting the x and y coordinates as it moves. So when I put it here, we can see how we're getting, or that those coordinates are changing as we move it around the screen. So now that's going to enable us to do what we're trying to do. And as a reminder, what we're trying to do is the following. As I get rid of there, we want to be able to draw this triangle like this, right? So we want to be able to specify this point over here and this point over here. And then we want to be able to move them around, right? So when we have these 2 points, we want to be able to put them in any arbitrary position, and we want to be able to draw a triangle between it, because we want to be able to find out, hey, what is the distance between this point, right? So we can call it point A, and this point over here, point B. And the way we do that is through Pythagoras, right? Where if we know that that is A, that is B, this is C, we know we have C squared is equal to B squared plus A squared. So we're just trying to draw this triangle. That's our goal right now. So let's go ahead and do it. So in order to do that, we need another point, right? Because we need point A and we need point B. So we have point 1. Let's maybe call it point A, so we stay consistent. And then let's go ahead and create another one. So we go and say let point B. And similarly over here, so we need to rename all of this stuff. This now needs to be point A. Let's get rid of this console.log. Point A.draw. We can say point B is equal to strive.create movable circle. And we started somewhere. Let's start at like 200, 320. And we can say point B.draw. Cool. Now we have 2 movable points, and we can add as many as we wanted. But we want to now, get a triangle to exist between these points. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and give you an opportunity to try and figure it out, because it's not too hard. So go ahead, pause the video, and give it a shot. All right. Hopefully you gave it a shot and you didn't just carry on watching the video. But if we have these 2 points, A and B, and we know that their coordinates are x, let's say x1, y1, and this one is x2, y2. Okay? So that's of point A and that's of point B. We want to, in order to draw a triangle in P5, we need to specify this point over here, right? We need to be able to specify those 3 points. So what is the coordinate of this point? If we go ahead and draw our axes, right? And I always recommend draw your axes if you're confused, because you'll like actually just be able to see what's going on. So that's our axis, and we know that that is our y1, and if we go up, that's our x1. And then similarly, we can do the same over there with B, right? Now, if we just draw a line from these points, what do we notice? Let's choose a different color. Let's go blue here. What do you notice about the y coordinate of point A and the y coordinate, let's call it, of point C? It's the same coordinate. So we know that the y coordinate over that is going to be the same coordinate as point A, which is y1. The x coordinate of point B, as we can see, is the same as the x coordinate of point C. So this is going to be x2. So that's how we could get it. If you want a challenge, how can we find if we wanted to draw the triangle on this side? Very similar process. You'll just flip the x's and the y's of each point. But let's give it a shot. So if we wanted another point, right, we can define it inside draw. Let's say point C, and we can say that is equal to point A, and we made that point A dot y. And we could say let's say point CX. So let's do something like this, because this is the x coordinate of point C. So we'll go CX and CY. And we can say point, for CY, we know that it's going to be, CX is point B dot X, and CY is point A dot Y. Okay, that's the point. And now we could go ahead and draw the triangle. So we can say triangle, and we can say point A dot X, point A dot Y, point B dot X, point B dot Y, and then finally, we now have this new point, which is CX and CY. We save that. We now get the triangle as we expected. Perfect. We can make it look a little bit nicer if we do something like this. If we say no fill, we won't fill the triangle. And let's maybe make it the same color as the points, because now we can't see it, and we can say fill yellow. Oh, no, sorry, that makes no sense. We're saying no fill and then full. We want to say stroke, because we want the outline. So we can say stroke, which targets the outline, yellow. And now, there we go. Now we have a pretty nice looking thing. So we're one step there to be able to get to where we need to go. I will end the video here, and I'll see you again for part 2.